Welcome to Candid Conversation, a regular discussion of agriculture and rural issues. I'm Tim Thornberry, editor of the Kentucky Farm Bureau News. And as you can see, we are coming to you once again from our KFB Studios. It has been a while, since March, I believe. We appreciate your patience. I really enjoyed talking to you from my RV, but it's good to be back in the studio. Of course, we're still observing CDC guidelines, 6 feet apart. We have our mask. We're staying safe, and we hope you're doing the same thing. Our guest today is KFB second Vice President, Sharon Furches. Sharon, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here. It's really great to be back in the studio.
Sharon, you have so many hats that you wear in addition to your family life. You're a farmer, farm business owner, farm leader, agriculture leader at all levels. It certainly speaks well to all the many things that you've done to say that the next chapter in that is you've been appointed to a pretty high-level EPA committee. Can you tell us about that, please?
It is exciting. It's a committee that has been in place for quite some time, but hasn't been active. And so they called up a new membership list, and I was asked to join that group. It actually, the process began back in November of last year. And of course, as the pandemic has affected so many things, that slowed the process down. But the committee is now seated, and we've had an orientation. It's the Farm, Ranch, and Rural Communities Committee. So obviously, we're going to be advising the administrator of EPA on issues that directly affect our local farms and our rural communities.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the committee itself, Sharon? Sometimes people don't equate agriculture and the EPA for some reason, and you know better than anybody that there's a direct connection there. What's some of the work that you expect to be doing with this committee?
Agriculture and EPA have worked side by side since the very beginning. That's a key part of any work on the farm, and whether we acknowledge the EPA administration or not, we certainly have always been concerned with environmental issues, and I think farmers are truly the first environmentalist and the most concerned about how it affects our farm, and we certainly want to do what's right for our environment and our farm. So it's the folks that have been named to the committee are all full-time farmers. Of course, they're involved in a lot of different organizations across the country. And there are some Farm Bureau folks involved, but other key ag organizations as well. So it's very exciting we've all met virtually and had the orientation time, but we will soon get to be together in D.C. and get to know one another better and what our life on the farm is like individually.
Sharon, I said some people don't equate the farming industry and EPA, and sometimes those who do are misinformed,
Sure.
I'll say. Does a committee like this help to explain to folks that may not understand all that there is to understand about good stewardship and taking care of the land? Do you think this helps them to be better educated about it?
Well, I certainly hope it will, and I believe that even through this pandemic time and some of the things we've heard about agriculture being such an essential part of our lives during this, and not shortages of food, but maybe shortages in our grocery store temporarily. And I think it has shown a light on agriculture and on farmers in general, but let folks understand exactly where their food does come from. A lot of people, it seems more than ever, people are gardening, and they're more concerned about their actual food and what they're giving their family and their access to it. And I think that's a group like this one will be key in keeping that in the forefront of conversation across the country.
I believe you mentioned Administrator Wheeler earlier. He's been to Kentucky on numerous occasions and certainly is very in tune to farmers, what they're doing, what they need, how that agency works together. That's got to be a huge advantage.
It is. I've met him on a number of occasions myself, and he's not only been to Kentucky, but he's been on Kentucky farms. And that is so important. When he comes to visit, he actually wants to be on the farm and having those key Conversations. And that's the fact that he is open to listening just speaks volumes about the importance that he places on agriculture and the voice we have.
Sharon, I'm a little off track here just a little bit, if you don't mind, but this COVID-19 situation has caused a lot of folks to maybe understand a little bit more about their food supply, especially
Sure.
when some of them were a little bit afraid that they were going to run low. Is that part of our mission to explain to folks, whether it's through committees like this, whether it's through our organization on the state and local level, to help them understand more about what we do as farmers and what we plan to do? We continue to work through this pandemic. Do you think all these things fit together and perhaps maybe the general public has a better understanding now?
I certainly hope they do. I think Kentucky Farm Bureau has always been very strong and very purposeful in getting that message out. The women's program, the young farmers in particular, work with a lot of students, are really great at promoting where our food comes from, how safe it is, and how affordable it is. And we have done that very well as an organization. A lot of other ag organizations in Kentucky have as well, but it never hurts to reinforce our message. And certainly during this most recent few months, we've been able to do that over and over.
We often say about Kentucky Farm Bureau, we have a seat at the table when it comes to issues affecting farm families across the state, locally, and of course on a national level. How important is it to have that seat at the table when we're talking about these issues?
I think, Tim, it's important on every level. I've done that on the local level in front of a fiscal court, being a member of a Chamber of Commerce board, going to your school board meetings, of course your County Farm Bureau meetings, but it's equally important to do that every step all the way to Washington. And Farm Bureau has given us a wonderful platform to talk about key issues and to connect with our legislators, but also with consumers and with our membership. I think we have been really able to train our membership well and give them the tools they need to feel comfortable when they talk with legislators. And we do that in Frankfort, and we do that in Washington, D.C. as well.
You mentioned several entities there. Partnerships are so critical to any organization, but especially in the farming industry, because we affect every life out there. And certainly EPA is one of those partners. If you would, just briefly, how important are partnerships like that, no matter who they're with? How important are they as we move forward, especially during this time?
Well, they help us to speak with a louder voice. And I think it's so important to find the ones that we share a lot of common ground with, and we have a lot of the same interest, and we want the same outcomes. We represent the same folks. It's farmers and people that live in the rural communities, just like all of us. And I think we're stronger, as we said all last year before the pandemic, stronger together. And we continue to be that. And our voice can be stronger together also.
Sharon, I'm going to ask a personal question here, if you don't mind to share with us. I've been to your farm. I know how beautiful it is. I know how big it is. I know how much work goes into that place. But share with our listeners out there a little bit about your farm life at home, if you don't mind.
I live in far western Kentucky. I live in Callaway County, right outside of the city of Murray, and grew up there, been there my whole life. We do have a grain operation. My husband and I have Furches Farms Partnership. So we grow white and yellow corn, wheat, soybeans, and we grow some canola. It is a lot of work. We stay very busy. We have a number of employees that help us on the farm. It's a family operation, so we love that piece of it. We love that we were able to raise our family there, our own children and now our grandchildren, who love to come back to the farm and be out on those tractors and things. So it's a really neat way to raise your family, and we feel a really big asset to the community. We've been very fortunate in our community that the ag industry is really seen as a key part of what our community is and the values that we think are important. So it's been a lot of fun. It has been a lot of hard work, of course, but it's I feel like the work on the farm, the real work on the farm, the getting dirty and the coming in at night when you're almost too tired to eat, too tired to take a shower. You just want to drop into the bed when you've really done the real work. That is what prepares you to go to D.C. and sit on a committee like this. And it's very exciting to me that they place those kinds of people on the committee. It's, I think it needs to be the people with the real voice of what farming is like.
You know, Sharon, as I wrap this up, there was something that you and I talked about before, and I'm going to sort of paraphrase this. When we were talking about being a member of this committee and others as well, you said something about it's good to work with other ag professionals who know what the dirt feels like on the farm.
That's true.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's sort of a mantra maybe to go by.
It is.
You really don't know about it till you know what that dirt feels like.
That's right.
Is that true?
And that's something that I've said for a long time. It's just occasionally you get so busy on the farm and different seasons. We're getting ready to go into harvest season, and it's really difficult to be away. But at the same time, you cannot afford to let someone speak for an industry as important as agriculture that doesn't have the same appreciation as we do. And I feel so much that it's important for us to take the time to go be an advocate for our industry. It's very important, of course, to be there and do that hard work, and it keeps us grounded. Certainly, it keeps us very connected to the dirt, but it's really important to have that kind of background when you go to Frankfurt or when you go to D.C. to actually talk to the folks that are making that policy.
Sharon, so good to have you in the studio today and
Thank
to take
you.
a few minutes to talk to us here. Our guest today has been KFB Second Vice President Sharon Furches. We are so glad that you have joined us. If you like what you've seen here and want to look at other content from Kentucky Farm Bureau, please go to our social media platforms on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. We appreciate that, and we hope to see you again very soon. Please, please, please stay safe out there.